Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Auburn Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, March 8th, 2016. Now called to order at approximately 7:03. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast by local access programming. Is anyone here in the audience tonight recording tonight's meeting? Seeing none, please rise and join us in a salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to remind the audience, applicants, town administration, and each of the planning board members to please refrain from asking questions in regard to all matters discussed this evening without first being granted consent. I'll also make one additional notice tonight. I just want to inform all of the applicants that any special permit hearings tonight require a supermajority, which would be 4 out of the 5 members. It's really at the applicant's discretion if they wish to proceed, acknowledging that 2 members are absent, so you would need all 4 members of the committee to vote in favor. And additionally, the missing board members did not cast a vote if they were to miss more than 1 hearing on this matter. So we just want to make everybody aware that we do have some missing applicants, and it's really at the discretion of the applicants if they wish to proceed.
But that there are 4 that can vote.
There are 4 that could vote tonight, right now. But, great. The first item on the agenda this evening is an A&R plan for 27 Green Street. Would the applicant please come forward? If here.
I don't believe the applicant's present today, only because this is an A&R based on the special permit that we approved and signed at our last meeting. This is the lot division based on the Hammerhead lot at Green Street. And the plan has been reviewed and just requires the signature of the board.
Did you have any comments? Anybody have any comments? No. We need a motion.
Motion to endorse, yeah.
Okay.
What are you looking for, a motion?
Looking for a motion to endorse the A&R.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. I believe the town planner has a request.
Yes, through the chair, if the board would be obliged to motion to move up the signature items on the agenda through a motion.
Anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
So we have the Auburn Mall signatures for their decision. We
The
have,
applicants come forward.
yes,
The applicants for the Auburn Mall come forward.
Through the chair, council had drafted decisions with some edits made by the town. We're both in agreement with the language. One item in discussion with the chief of police was the portion on the modification of site plan regarding paid details. The chief of police submitted additional language regarding the details, and after further discussion with council and the chief of police, find that the language is consistent with the request, but formally, since the hearing's been closed, we can't modify what's already been proposed. So, since that language...
Reopen the hearing?
Right. We have X amount of days to draft this. This is the 42nd of 45 days, so it has to be signed today. So, the language was, if in the opinion, chief of police, additional pay details become necessary, the Albemarle will be responsible for payment of those detail officers. The security measures shall be reviewed periodically by the Albemarle manager and chief of police and adjusted to provide such details as are reasonably required. That's consistent with what we discussed in the meeting. Chief of police additional request was the security measures shall be reviewed yearly by both the Albemarle manager and chief of police. After said review, it shall be the sole responsibility and decision of the chief of police to determine what, if any, modifications are to be made to the current security measures. The annual meeting in no way negates the authority of the chief of police to modify from time to time the number of officers that will be paid for by the Albemarle. So, council and myself, we believe that the additional language that the chief had requested is covered generally under the line item that says, in the opinion of the chief of police, additional paid details become necessary. The Albemarle will be responsible for payment of those detail officers. So
You feel that's covered in the current?
we do.
Well,
We do, and I confirmed with the chief that I believe that remains consistent.
all right.
So, that being said, the other decisions were circulated in the packet, and I believe they are ready for signatures as well.
So you just look up the signatures.
Yes. Okay.
Is there anything further on that?
Yes, further signatures were for the Hamlet Estates definitive subdivision. We have received a covenant application as well as the plans that need to be signed. These are consistent with what was submitted and the modifications made through the conditions. The covenant is completed and satisfactory to the standard boilerplate that the town offers. So I believe our signatures are also required here. This has been signed by the applicant and notarized, as the plans have also been signed off by the town clerk. There's no appeal period had passed on the decision, and there were no appeals.
The notary DD these.
I don't believe so, but I believe Attorney Broder can notarize the signature.
I can do that, sure. And I have talked about,
Anything from
I
us?
should view your driver's license, and the four of you that are going to sign here should tell me that you're signing freely and voluntarily.
Absolutely. One
And
item.
if we don't tell you?
Yes, Mr. Brooks?
Oh, I don't have my license.
Again?
I can vouch for your identification
You
with
want to
personal
use the
knowledge.
Just to add one additional thing to the
I
covenant.
can really do that with all of yours.
There has to be a completion date, or estimated completion date put in here. I know with the other subdivision, we did it, we went out for 5 years. Does the board have a recommendation for a completion date of the road for this subdivision?
You have any comment?
I believe, December 2021. It was consistent.
And we
with-
did 5 years on what?
For completion of construction of ways and installation of municipal services.
Yeah, we don't want to get caught in that 20-year thing again.
Right.
Is everyone okay with 5 years?
5 years,
Yep.
good.
Do you need a motion for that?
Nope. So, this wouldn't be one for Mr. Faber to sign. This was approved before he came on the board. Through the chair, furthermore, this was approved by a unanimous vote, 5-0 by the board, the complete board with Mr. Rotherham and Steinhover. Although there'll be 3 signatures on the covenant now, that does represent a vote of minimum approval requirement for both the covenant and the plans, so those can still be endorsed despite the missing signatures of the absent members. So I set up the plans on the side. You have to sign it. I just need a motion.
So we'll need a motion to endorse the plans.
To make a motion, we endorse the plan.
Okay, second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, no, we have the plans to sign over there.
Yes, the
Is that- these
Mylars
are
are,
now, those aren't being,
the Mylars are, there's 4 pages and they're staggered so the signature lines are available. So you should be signing in 4 spots.
those aren't being notarized, so can we sign those at the end of the meeting
We could.
to keep things moving?
I'd like to, I believe the applicant is here too. If those are- Yes, and we could also start signing the paper one also. It's 5 pages here, it's a cover page for the
Couldn't put them all in the same place.
I wish they did.
You're just gonna get stamped.
Thank you.
Appreciate everyone bearing with us while we get through this.
Yeah, it's only the layup ones on the front page. That's existing condition.
Paul, if you need to start on this one. All right.
Fuck those chairs.
All right.
Can't have you get hurt, Paul. We wouldn't have enough members.
It's industrial accident.
And backups then.
Do you guys want to
Workman's
copy this
comp?
first?
Yes, I'll copy right now. Thank you.
Thanks for both on.
Let's see, they don't pay us anyway, so
Zero,
workman's comp is 0. You only need the one signature on this?
There's, the first 5 pages.
How many pages? There's another one.
You all right?
they got them in all in, see. Spend a half hour looking for the signature block. Yeah, but they're all in different places. Now, if you got one here. You missed one here, John.
You don't have to go all the way to the back. You can do the first five.
The first, how many?
Yeah.
How many we got here?
Whichever ones I sign.
All right, I got 5. Oh, have a good time. Oh, you gotta do the top.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay.
Discuss while they sign. Are the members comfortable discussing while they sign?
Sure.
Okay.
We're multitasking.
Yeah. One more announcement. If anybody is here for the Gibson Road application, we received a request to withdraw from the applicant, which we need a motion to accept the withdrawal. So we need a motion from the board to accept the withdrawal for Gibson Road.
I make a motion, we could accept the withdrawal from Gibson Road.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
If I may. Yes. If anyone else, apologize, if anyone else is here for Gibson Road, plans are now, I have set of plans that will look like them. The permitting phase now will be going through engineering and building for the yards of fill. So if you have questions, you can revert your questions
We
to.
can't hear you back here, could you speak up a little?
This is for the Gibson Road application?
Gibson Road application,
Okay.
please have it.
Thank you.
Further questions on that application can be reviewed through engineering or the building department.
So if anybody didn't hear that in the back, if there's any questions on the Gibson Road application, they're welcome to contact the building department or the town planner for more information.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
do you know when they would come for a planning board meeting, public hearing?
Yeah,
We got one forever like last time?
well, we're going to try to keep it in order. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the street acceptance via citizens petition for Grandview Street. Is there a petitioner for that?
Yes. Break on this thing.
I know Bill presented this. I can speak on behalf of this. Through the chair, the Board of Selectmen recommended that, received a citizen's petition to make Grandview Street a public way. This was part of the Murray development throughout, I believe it was the 60s, where Murray Ave and that neighborhood, which were all public roads, for some reason Grandview was not a public road. So the Board of Selectmen received the citizen petition. They recommended to the planning board for a recommendation, and their street layout hearing is scheduled for Monday the 28th. In the meantime, if the board has any questions or would like to make a recommendation for this road to become a public road, now's the time for the board to do that.
I've looked at it. I'll make a motion that we recommend that it be accepted as a public way by the Board of Selectmen.
Second?
Okay. Have the town engineers looked at it? It's okay?
It appears that it was constructed according to the subdivision.
So,
Is there any public comment on Grandview Street? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will draft that letter accordingly, thank you.
Great. All right. The next discussion is for the applicant Mid-States Package, Inc., looking for a site plan approval waiver request for the storage and distribution of plastic pellets at 28 Millbury Street. Is the applicant here? Great. Great. Can you step forward and address the board?
Sure.
If you please, we'd ask you to just give us your names and you don't need an address. Just your names, and then
So, my name is Mark Borenstein. I'm an attorney at Cedar and Chandler. I'm an attorney for the applicant, Mid-States Packaging, Inc. To my left is Tracy Harkin, who is an officer of Mid-States Packaging, Inc. And to my right is Robert Weiss, who is a representative of the owner of the property, the landlord, 28 Millbury Street, Quest 28 Millbury, LLC.
okay.
Do you have cards
Yes.
for my records?
Ray, would you mind giving us a little description
Sure.
of what's...
So this evening we are requesting a waiver of site plan approval and a waiver of all of the site plan approval requirements on the basis that the use which Mid-States Packaging Inc. is using the property for a warehousing distributing use is a existing use on the property. The property was leased by Mid-States November 1st, 2015, and since 1969, the property has consistently been used for warehousing and distribution purposes. We received a letter in the last couple months from the zoning enforcement officer indicating that we should be subject to site plan review. After speaking with representatives from the town of Auburn, it was further clarified that there was kind of a difference in terms of use between the previous use and the existing use. But as you can see from the application, the uses are very much consistent with the prior uses, as you can see by exhibit, I believe it's F and G. So, if you have any questions, we have the applicant here to answer. So, as you can see by the exhibits, I believe it's F is the prior use of Filene's, which Mr. Robert Weiss can speak to, where they previously warehoused and used and for warehousing and distributing of clothes for Filene's basement. I believe G is photographs of Mid-State's current use of the property. So, by comparing the two, it's pretty clear that the use is consistent. The applicant hasn't made any physical changes to the property. Mid-State's merely leased the property for the existing use.
Okay. Before we go to the board, I was wondering if the town inspection office would like to comment?
Yeah, I have some comments. I learned about the company occupying the building February 1st when the noise complaints started coming in.
Speak up, can you speak up, please?
I learned about the company occupying the building when noise complaints started coming in on February 1st. It's my interpretation that the building has been vacant for over 4 years and the previous use would be abandoned and require site plan approval for a new use. And furthermore, I think the operation is significantly different. They're using vacuum trucks to suck plastic pellets out of the building. The noise complaints I got were from the Barbara Ave area inquiring about a wind turbine in town. I issued an order giving them a timeline to appear before the planning board back on February 8th. I received a phone call as late as in my order, and in speaking with the applicant, I asked that they keep the trucking operations in the hours between 8 and 4 p.m. in the meantime. Last night I got a call at 6 o'clock from somebody in the Barbara Ave area, and I could hear the noise in the background.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Caleb, are they already started? The building was vacant. It was a Filene's warehouse. It was vacant for 4 years. Now these people come in to store plastic bottles and plastic pellets and stuff like that. Have they already started?
They moved in without any permits.
And what was the part about the wind turbine?
The trucks that suck these pellets out of the building, it sounds like a wind turbine.
Yeah, I would agree with you that the application or what the use that is being looked at versus what was there is completely different.
Paul, do you have any comments?
Yeah, have we done a sound check to see what the dBs are? What is
No,
the
we
level
don't.
of sound?
That would be on the applicant to produce something.
Yeah.
The town
We
wouldn't
can
do that.
request.
Could request that. I mean, you can't disturb the neighbors. Are they operating at 24 hours a day?
No.
They were,
And I'd be surprised, I'm surprised someone was there at 6 o'clock. When we discussed the hours, you asked me what our hours of operation. I never received anything saying to maintain it between 8 and 4. And since then, we had put on a muffler system on the tractors, and I hadn't heard anything since. So we implemented all muffler systems on the packaging equipment, and with no other response, I assumed that the condition was taken care of.
So the public knows there will be an opportunity for public comment. Just, we'll get there in a minute. And also just kind of a point here, in speaking with the town planner and others, if the applicant is currently requesting a site plan approval waiver, which would not give the board any opportunity to condition or otherwise modify
If we offered the waiver.
the waiver. So I just want to make sure the board is aware of that. And Matt?
Just to clarify furthermore, that's for, the board wouldn't be able to render conditions if the waiver of public hearing was waived. The board could still, at their discretion, waive some of the requirements for the design. The plan stamped by the engineer, et cetera, lighting plan, et cetera.
If we were agreed to waive a public hearing
You could still grant waivers on design.
on this project,
Right, but
with all those neighbors that close to the area,
there's a request for waivers on here for public hearing requirement, site topography, site lighting, landscape plans, site plan prepared by a professional engineer, proposed system of drainage calculations, and application file fees. So what I believe Mr. Weaver was trying to say is that if the board wanted to render a decision on this matter and hold a public hearing formally with the butter notification, they, I think, would be remiss to waive the public hearing requirement, but could still consider waivers for any of the other ones that have been requested.
I think we need to have a public
Yeah.
hearing.
Have they met with the neighbors? Have you met with the neighbors?
we haven't met with the neighbors. We took pretty prompt action in terms of putting mufflers on the trucks, which
The closest neighbor is Barber Street across Millbury Street.
Right on the screen. Barbara Ave is the, right there.
Caleb, can you show us the exact building and
This is
location?
L-shaped thing.
Right there.
Here's the building in question. And this is Barbara Ave neighborhood here.
And there's a few houses along Mill Street,
Where is
too.
Millbury
Yeah, we got
Street?
complaints from Mill Street as well.
Oh, thank you. Right back. Yeah. We'll get to you, sir. I promise.
And again, we had assumed when we put the mufflers on the trucks since our first meeting that we had not had any complaints or any contact from anyone, so we had assumed that the mufflers had addressed the issue.
Yeah, I've had complaints given to me.
Any other-
I think that the use is substantively changed from what it was. I think it needs to go through the full process.
Okay.
With the public hearings, we'll discuss the waivers throughout the process individually.
Sure. I'd like to give an opportunity for members of the public to comment. We'd ask that you state your name, your address, and then just please remain respectful as you address your comments. So, yes, sir.
Bob Carlson, 26 Mill Street, direct abutter to the project. Your truck with the muffler today was operating on the side of the building facing me, whereas I could not be out in the yard when that's happening. In other words, that fence that runs in between that driveway and my property I've only got 100 feet, 150 feet, and you're killing me. My grandkids won't stay out in the yard. We can't stay out in the yard. It's a drone, it goes on forever. I don't understand that. I'm totally, I don't care if you put your packaging in there, I don't have a problem with that. I know the building needs to be used, it's good revenue for the town. But as far as keeping us up and letting us not go out into our land, I've lived there for 22 years, I'm a taxpayer, and that was over the top, really. I mean,
We
I'm sorry.
don't want to
The noise
disrupt
is terrible.
anyone's...
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm
Just
sorry.
ask that, bring everything
Oh,
to
okay.
the chair, so I'll address you when he's
All
finished.
set.
Okay. Would you like to address it?
We want to be a good neighbor. We,
Sure.
you know, obviously we're not here to disrupt anything. The material comes out of our bulk truck into packaging, and we pump it through a hose. We could, like I said, I put the mufflers on. I thought it was addressed. We bought a decibel counter, and we can certainly monitor that. And again, I'd have to go, I don't know which angle, because it was kind of a little odd, because it says from the end of your property, no higher than the noise that was on the current street as it is. It was a little difficult for me to understand, but I can certainly, like I said, we bought the equipment, but we didn't continue anymore because after the muffler was put on,
Sure.
we had assumed
It was
Well, I'm
correct.
sure Caleb would be happy to help you understand.
exactly
Exactly.
the readings. That'd be great.
Okay, one other question before we may have already addressed this. But what are your standard hours of operation?
Usually between 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then Saturday mornings, and we're generally closed on Sundays
Okay. What are your hours on Saturday mornings?
until 1.
From 6 a.m. to 1?
You said generally,
I
how
don't know,
generally
Mr.
is
Chairman,
that?
6 a.m. is kind of early.
Yeah, I mean, the hours can change. I mean, I have the packaging type of thing. Those are just my standard open hours where my warehouse is available for pickups and deliveries. Does not necessarily mean I'm unloading and packaging those hours. Those are the hours I'm open.
Jason, anybody else have any other comments before we go back to the... Sir?
Yeah,
Just your
could you,
name and address?
Tom Wall, 47 Barbara Ave, I'm right on the end there. Could you tell me a little bit more about the nature of your business? What is it you do, and is there an alternative to making all that noise?
Well,
Because it's still unacceptable.
The reason we moved here is because we were located in Worcester, and we've torn down the building that we were in. We were on the railroad in Worcester, and we are working to fix the railroad in the back of 28 Millbury Street so that we wouldn't need the bulk trucks themselves. The hose would come directly from the rail car into the building, so that's where the noise problem is. The truck is running to pump the material in. With the rail car, it would be pumped in directly from the rail car into the building, so the noise would be contained in the building. What I ship is plastic pellets.
So what part of the truck is running? Is it the tractor?
There's a PTO
Okay.
on the
but,
back. The tractor's running because you need the PTO.
And that's the PTO that runs the blower
that
that's so
runs the
loud?
blower that forces the product into and out of the tank.
Is there an alternative, like a conveyor belt or a hopper or something? I mean, even now, you guys have done, much better with the mufflers than
Right.
when you first started doing it, but it's still unacceptable. I mean, we're all in our houses, the windows are closed, it's winter time. What's it gonna be like in the summer?
Well, one thing with the foliage, that is one good thing, but again, I can definitely try to remedy the situation. Again, I haven't heard a thing since the mufflers were put on, so I made no attempt to
Okay,
change
it's just-
anything, or
But
change my
take-
hours, or
take-
watch my
Take a ride
hours.
over to my house sometime, I'm right on the corner.
I will. And again, we
you
don't-
know,
we
you're
wanna
welcome to
be-
come stand in my backyard.
We want to be a good neighbor, and I'm not out to
Totally
deliberately upset
unacceptable.
anyone.
Okay.
And before we used to obviously package, we were in industrial, the old US Steel building, so we had no neighbors, and we didn't have to do it this way due to the fact that we were rail accessible. And right now, we're not rail accessible at 28 Millbury Street, but there is a rail in the back that they are working to fix so that rail cars will be able to
So
come
what are
in.
the implications of that gonna be?
I don't
Will
know.
it be louder?
No. I won't have the truck running. It won't be the truck outside. I have a system inside. A hose will be attached to the rail car and go into my building. So all my packaging will be contained in the building. Right now, it's the truck, the PTO, blowing the material in, Then
What
we
are they, like peanuts or something?
They're pellets, plastic pellets that make Poland spring water bottles, the liners for Frito-Lay bags, that type of
Okay, so you have a
product.
plastic.
It's
industry
plastics.
that you- Okay.
It's
So you
been not
actually
my,
make bottles?
I don't make anything. I'm the middle guy. Someone owns the pellets, someone makes the bottles. I get it from the pellet guy to the bottle maker.
Okay.
So
Well, you know,
we're in the
just-
transfer. And again, believe me, I will do whatever I can to rectify and work with them, you know, with changing hours or finding other alternatives or finding something, you know, like I said,
Well, it's not just changing the hours. You know, as you can see, some of my neighbors are retired, so they're
Right.
home all the day,
Right.
during the day. Some of the other neighbors that can come, you know, work when, you know, you're working, so
Right.
it doesn't bother them except on Saturdays. So I don't think adjusting hours is the answer. I think adjusting the noise level is the answer.
I will have to explore more ways to, but I mean, packaging plastic pellets is what I do.
All right, we'll try to bring, really quick, what is the timeline for the rail project?
I'd have to check with the P&W. It's just it's in negotiation right now. It's not even a.
What are they doing, upgrading the siding, or does the siding already go right into your property?
There's already a rail track back there.
It was moved though. There was a big cistern in there for fire protection before they put the fire line in. And that cistern ruptured and it moved, it bent the rail line. So they have to straighten it out.
Are there any other residents who'd like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Kathy Rich. I live at 3 Westchester Drive, which is it's down towards School Street. And I can hear it at my house with the window shut at this time of year. I heard it Sunday morning around 6:30. It's loud.
No, and I do apologize. Believe me. Like I said, I thought the muffler system had kind of corrected it. Because once we put those on, I hadn't heard anything, so I thought it was.
Is there a reverb off the side of the building on Burt
So,
Ridge,
yeah.
3 Westchester Drive?
Is there what?
Is there like you know, because of the shape of the building, I'm thinking maybe that's part of it. The noise is just, you know,
Well, when
getting in there and bouncing
like I said, we
off.
bought the gun. There's two angles, and I don't know which would be better. If you look at our building, there's the back, which I think is where your street is, which is one. But there's also, it's an L shape. There's that middle section. I don't know if that would,
My house.
if I'm in the middle of my building,
I'm on that side.
by Worcester envelope.
Westchester's on the other side, and he's on this side.
All right, I'm sorry.
here.
I don't know why.
Well, if everyone, I think the members of the board have probably heard enough to make a decision, or at least I would ask them if they feel they have. Seeing as this is a discussion, it's not really a full public hearing. If the board was so inclined to require a public hearing, and I'll have Matt fill in on the details of the actual process of that, there would be a formal hearing would be held. Abutters would be notified, and you'd all be given the opportunity to provide either written or verbal testimony at that public hearing, which would probably be the point at which a more formal decision would be made. So I hate to have everybody go through the process of explaining all this and then have to do that again. Members of the board agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
The Providence and Worcester Railway was trying to increase business along that line out of Worcester. I don't know, would this fit into something like that? I heard that from
Sure.
Central Mass Planning.
Yeah, that's part of the CM.
Depends on your volume.
Yeah.
They might like.
So, process-wise, Matt, what would the town recommend?
So in front of us is a request for waivers. I believe the board can address those in the form of a motion, either one at a time or as a group.
Should we do those now, or after we ask for formal site?
Well,
But they might want to put that on, or they might, you know.
I'm sure Matt has some comments, but topography, lighting, landscape, a lot of those things haven't changed. They're using the existing space. So I don't know what your thoughts are, Matt.
Precisely. No change to impervious, no change to the footprint of the building. That's just what we typically see for waiver requests. We did see and it's very hard to read the date on the plan, but it shows the existing site with a stamped engineered design as a land title plan, but it's very hard to read. So
Since the issues are mostly surrounding noise and operations, I don't know if it's really relevant to have them produce new plans and go through that expense. I think the real concept is to have a public hearing and then an opportunity to condition.
Noise abatement. Didn't they unload the trucks inside one time there? I haven't been over there in a couple of years.
There's only doors that, there's a second floor that we
Yeah.
don't utilize.
Oh, okay, 'cause I thought there was a ramp up
We're
into the
strictly
second
on the first floor.
Yeah. And my understanding from reading the application, you guys are not, the former use used the entire building. You guys are only using a portion of that building.
Up to the first floor, yeah.
So
The second floor has a weight restriction.
would you mind if we waited until the public hearing to have additional
Well,
public comment?
I just as regards the public hearing.
Sure.
My name is Art Tataronis. I'm from Barbara Ave also.
Okay.
What number?
What number?
What number?
40 Barbara.
Okay.
And I would strongly suggest that a feasibility study be done with reference to the railroad being here, because if we go through all of this and then afterwards we find out that the rail cannot be accepted, we're still left with the same problem with that noise factor.
Yeah.
So I think that they need to kind of get going with this study to find if in fact they can get acceptance to connect the rail.
No, I understand. I think the waivers that we're discussing aren't really related to the operations of the business so much as the actual physical layout of the structure, which is not changing. So I think we could potentially address that through the public hearing process, which is the angle that the board seems to be going.
Besides the packaging part,
Yeah.
what we do is what Filene's distribution, and we ship pallet product in and we ship it out on trucks. So besides the packaging portion, the shipping and receiving is
The warehouse.
this warehousing, same in and out fork truck that any warehouse would do.
Understood. Would the members like to make a motion?
For,
Well, Matt, do you want to provide some suggested language?
I believe the board is moving towards a motion to deny a request for waivers of the public hearing requirement. If that's what you're looking
And
I
then,
don't have a public hearing.
right, so we deny the waiver for the public hearing,
for. Waiver of.
but then you would be waiving the remaining site topography, site lighting, landscape
You
review.
can do those
Yep.
one at a time.
If the board
Yeah.
so chooses.
Do we have to do them now, or can we do them at the time? Does it help them, does it show whether or not they would require to do any further planning?
If you don't have to vote on them now, and they could submit the same application for the public
With
hearing.
those on it at that time?
Yes.
I'd rather do that.
It would be in the public hearing.
Just be forwarded to a public hearing. So if that's what the board chooses, you'd be looking for a motion to deny the request for waiver of the public hearing requirement.
Yes. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Paul, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, to translate a little bit, basically the board is requiring that the applicant go through the public hearing process. So there will be a formal application. This was really an informal discussion about the matter. So there will be a formal application, public hearing set on the agenda of the planning board, in which members of the public are welcome to come back in, again, speak their mind, but this time really on the record and as part of the public hearing content.
Prior to that meeting, would we be able to get what an acceptable decibel level is and regarding with the main streets and?
Definitely suggest you reach out to both Caleb and the town planner for additional assistance before the meeting.
Can the town help with Providence and Railroad Company to see if they can't get that siding repaired?
It'd be on the applicant to provide that information. Furthermore, for the site plan application, the application that's been submitted can be used as the application. We require different, the advertising and the abutters list and the fees for those. So when those come in, we can get them on the next schedule.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of move on.
Okay, are they allowed to continue to operate at this point?
In speaking with the chief of police, I'll send it in writing, we're gonna require that they reduce the trucking operation to 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday.
That's fine. And Okay, maybe you can clarify this and I can contact you.
You're gonna have to contact an engineer, I can't.
Because I read this and it doesn't give me a number.
You'd have to get a professional to test it.
You need to have we're gonna require probably a professional study to be done.
Our audio engineer.
But I just need to know where you get your base number.
Yeah, I'd suggest maybe offline you guys could reach out to them and
Okay.
get some clarity on
Alright.
that. Okay, thank you. So everyone will kind of have the opportunity to have a formal public hearing process to discuss.
And we will abide by the 8 to 4, and again, we apologize, we're not trying to alienate anyone.
Can you, bring those trucks inside and unload them?
No, but I'm wondering, there's, like I said, there's the two sides of the building I could choose, but he's saying it's on one side is his house, the Worcester Envelope side, and then I think these people are on the other side, so I don't
It's not
know.
only my side, it's my neighbor Phil Sardi and my other neighbor, Darren Macias. So there's three of us on that side of the building.
Okay, sure.
If you could run a vacuum hose to a rail car, why can't you run a vacuum hose to,
Excuse me, everyone.
I do, that's where the PTO is.
Excuse me, everyone.
Sorry.
We're going to have the formal hearing
No, I
process. My
apologize.
suggestion would be to have the conversation then.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
So those are the discussions. So the next thing on the agenda would be the 7:05 hearing for Jimmy Georges, trustee, requesting a special permit for the Hammerhead Lot, section 5.3.2 of the Auburn zoning bylaws for the proposed construction of the single-family dwelling on the property at 12 William Street, Auburn, Massachusetts.
Go back to the
Yeah, and just as a reminder, there are only 4 members of the board here, so as we talked about earlier, you would need approval of all of the members, and any members who missed more than one meeting would not be eligible to vote. So would the applicant still like to proceed? Proceed? Yes. So I need a motion to open the hearing.
Motion to open the hearing?
Thank you. Second, all those in favor? Aye.
Close the door.
Yeah, you can have one door
Sure.
open. You got, that's against the law, open meeting law, you have to have one door open.
We're going to open the door back here. We open the back door so you can close that door. Okay, would the applicant introduce themselves and give a little presentation about the proposal?
Hi, I'm Patrick Burke, civil engineer with the S&T Group representing the applicant. We're here with requesting a special permit for 12 William Street to provide hammerhead lot for 12 William Street. We met with development coordinating group based on the comments and the discussion we had with the development coordinating group. We updated the plans and provided technical analysis, got technical analysis and full-scale and half-scale plans. Currently at 12 Williams Street, there's a single-family lot. Developed a single-family home connecting the town sewer on Williams Street. There's an existing well on the site. What we'd like to do is create a hammerhead lot to the rear of the lot. When we cut out the hammerhead lot, number 12 will maintain the frontage for the zoning and the area and the regularity factor. For the hammerhead lot, it provides the 50-foot frontage, 50-foot width in the handle, the regularity factor, and the area of the lot. We've also have the frontage diameter circle in the rear of the lot. We're proposing a single-family home connecting into town sewer on William Street. There's no available water along William Street, so we're proposing a well. Part of the discussion, there's existing well house. We'll be abandoning that when we create this existing house lot from the existing house. Board of Health asked us to abandon this, so there's only a single well existing on number 12. Currently, the house grades from the center of the lot to William Street and from the center of the lot back to the rear of William Street right here. The grading along the lot will maintain the drainage pattern to the back, created a swale along here. We'll be filling in the lot along here. We're also providing Caltech chambers in the back of the house to intercept the rooftop runoff and the foundation drains. We've got a memorandum from the Development Coordinating Group with a number of bulleted comments we've addressed. The first bullet requires the applicant to require all necessary. We got a bullet memorandum from the Development Coordinating Group when we met with them. We addressed all the comments from them. Number of comments, the applicant must obtain all necessary permits. We added a note to the plan. The location of existing septic systems need to be 150 feet from the wells. We contacted the sewer department for all the abutting properties within 150 feet and verified they're tied into sewer, so there should not be any septic systems within 100 feet of the proposed well. To be conservative, just in case they move the well around when they come in, we went from the property lines, not just the proposed location of the well, in case this moves during construction. Rooftop runoff should be connected into the rooftop runoff, and the foundation drain should be connected into a Caltech chamber. Place that in the rear of the yard. Earth fill and removal calculations we provided to ensure they have to be, if they're over 50 feet, the special services needs to review them. If they're over 500 cubic yards, then we required a special permit. The net was 237 cut, which we're going to be using on site, and 406 fill for a net fill of 168. So special services does need to take a look at it, but it will not require a special permit to the board. We added a note to the plan saying sewer work must be performed by a licensed drain layer. Proposed address, we also will be placed at since the rescue services, fire and police can't see the address in the house, we placed it in accordance with section 1602 of general bylaws into the front on the mailbox in the front of the yard. Those were all the comments. If you have any questions on the design.
Does the town have any comments?
Yes,
Sorry.
I apologize. I'll defer to the engineering office, but just wanted to verify the DCG comments that Mr. Burke has referenced in his presentation, and those comments were consistent with the memo provided by DCG last week.
Okay. Joanna, did you have any comments?
No, I believe that all the comments that engineering had that provided at the DCG have been addressed.
Okay. Move to the board.
Looks, if there's nothing that anyone else has got, it looks pretty, looks like what a typical hammerhead lot should be.
Cheers. There any public comment on this issue, on this matter? Any, similar to before, we'd ask anybody to stand up. Please announce your name and address before continuing. Sir?
Marco Pichera, 16 William Street.
I'm Kathleen Pichera, 16 William Street.
We have a number of concerns. We're a direct abutters. We're on the left side of that property. So right now, right, the topography, as you mentioned, towards the back of William Street, does lean towards our property. So water runoff is a big concern for us. There's a lot of ledge in this on the street. And one of the things that we're most concerned about is we already have water in our basement, and it's barely manageable right now. So this kind of construction and digging that they're doing here presents a potential big risk for us in our basement. I'm just curious what the developer thinks that they can do to sort of protect the neighbors, right? And also, you know, what the town has to say about that in terms of the ledge and the runoff that comes off of that.
First, I'll just point out that the town in their development coordinating group meeting did acknowledge that as a concern and had put that in as one of their comments, so I'll let the engineer speak to that. But.
What we did back here, your property is right here. Right now the pattern from this drainage pattern generally flows this way. We're filling, so it maintains the same pattern. We've also created a swale along this side, so we'll divert anything coming off our property along our property line, on our side of the property line, to the back of the yard, like it continues to go, so it won't get to your property.
So my yard goes back quite a ways back as well, right? So you're
Yes.
gonna be dipping it right into my playground.
But we won't be increasing it. The same flow that's going there now, we won't be diverting it this way. It's going to be the same flow that goes there now. We'll be going continuing that way.
Okay.
We're also infiltrating rooftop runoff into the backyard to alleviate the.
So once the plan is, if this plan is approved, right, the next developer, once they have the property line lined up, they can switch the house into a different direction. And if you were to sell, right, the property, once you get the approval, right, what's to protect my property from having that runoff? Once, you turn around and sell it off.
Matt or Caleb, do you guys want to address that?
I could answer that. All right, with the building inspector. The decision of the board for a Hammerhead lot is at the discretion of the board if they would like the conditions of approval to remain with the land or with the applicant. So if they so choose, and I've seen it consistent with Hammerhead lots thus far, that it's been with the land, then it would stay consistent with any owner of the property. And the footprint of the house shown would have to be consistent with the approved plan.
But that footprint could switch.
And
Could it not?
through the chair, only if they came back to the planning board for a modification of the special permit.
So would the butters be notified if that were to be
Yes.
approved? Okay. That was one concern. Another concern has to do with the fact that there used to be a shared well. You mentioned the well on the property. My property and 12 Williams used to share a well at one point. New wells have been established on both properties. It sounds like you're going to need to address the existing well. Will you be drilling new wells as well?
So it would be a new well for the new address, number 14 back here. The existing well, we believe there's 2 wells on the site now. We think this is a shallow well used for outdoor. There's a hose coming out of this one. The Board of Health requires just 1 well on this site, so we'll be abandoning this well with according to the Board of Health
So
regulations.
we have children, and there's children on the street, so from a safety perspective, that's going to be closed off.
It will be filled in with identified sand, so it'll be closed off. That's part of the commission.
Concerns around the existing structure on 12 Williams. I know that's not what this hearing is about, but we already have an abandoned Hammerhead lot on the street. And then the current home is abandoned. So to me, this all sort of plays into sort of the value of the street, how livable our street is, additional traffic, the poor condition of the road, all of it sort of ties together. And I believe that this is the same construction company that did 1 and 3 on our street. That the vehicles on the street, construction vehicles, materials, just want to understand what the plan is for that.
I comply with when they get the building permits, this would be an enforcement issue with the town. It's accessing this site, updating this house, minor revisions to the house before we can sell it. And during this would be typical construction. Construction entrance coming through here, down through William Street, not up and through.
Can you speak up, please?
Access to the site for the construction of the real house will be through the Hammerhead lot, coming in through here. Trucks, we're anticipating just coming through William Street, not through William Street, but down William Street, coming to the site here. Typical single-family home construction.
And you said that there is going to be work done to the current number 12 house on Auburn Street? Because it is a concern for
cosmetic work, yes.
for resale.
Yes.
Because you can build a nice Hammerhead lot, but you're not going to sell it if you have a house in front of it.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to increase. And there's actually 3 properties if you include number 12 right now that are currently 2 properties, but with 3 being the new construction. So we just don't want to, we would rather increase the value of Williams Street than to decrease it.
Absolutely.
So
Did you have any other comments?
There's a few more on the Hammerhead lot here. So again, with 1 and 3 being built, we're used to a lot of traffic on the street, construction vehicles. I want to understand the hours of operation. I want to understand the lighting. I want to understand the privacy, landscaping, seeing as this property would be looking right into my backyard, and then also my neighbor's backyard. Trying to understand those aspects of this proposal.
Matt, do you want to try to address some of those with our standard conditions?
Sure. Just through the chair, historically, the planning board has applied standard conditions to several of their approvals, including past Hammerhead lots. One of them is construction hours from Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, Saturday, 8 to noon, with no work to be conducted Sundays or holidays. Those can be modified at the request of abutters or even the members of the board prior to the decision being drafted. And as part of the special permit findings, Section 9354 of the Auburn zoning bylaw, we have to make sure that consequences for adjoining premises of sound, light, odor, noise, or other disturbances are not inconsistent with the surrounding neighborhood.
I have a concern with a little bit of the 8 o'clock hour. With the construction of number 1 and 3 on the Williams Street, there was several times when we were trying to get the children to school, and there was a truck that was blocking our way, and then the kids were late to school. So just to be sensitive to that 8 o'clock hour, especially during, until the end of June.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
may I address it?
Yes, please.
What time would you prefer to see for morning hours?
And there can be construction going on, but when there's a Big Mac truck blocking the way, then that's an issue. If they want to work 8 o'clock, I have no problem with that. We are up and awake and making, moving about our day. We just can't have a truck blocking our way to try to get the kids to school.
So maintaining access.
Accessibility.
Especially, so the street narrows
Yep.
as it gets to the end of the street. So by the time you get to this lot here, 2 large vehicles cannot pass.
Two
vans.
residential
Yeah,
vehicles.
two vans can't pass each other.
Okay.
So that needs to be a very sensitive issue for this area. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. So what's the Saturday hours for like the standard operation?
It is 8:30, I'm sorry, 8 to noon. Apologize. Standard conditions. Yeah, 8 to noon on Saturday.
Saturday is no problem with the school,
Yeah.
but they should be able to pass at any time.
Did you have any additional questions?
The other questions I had were around lighting and privacy landscaping around this lot in particular.
Does the applicant want to address that?
Yeah, you can condition what I see as a lighting issue, maybe if when they're exiting here, that's the car lights coming out here. The residential lighting shouldn't be a problem for spotlights, but we could plant shrubs along this side to block the cars coming out the headlights.
Does the town have any comment?
What do you have provided for blocking headlights?
Right now, we're not proposing anything. We weren't doing anything here. I believe there's some trees here, but we could, if there is not, we could propose shrubs here to block the headlights coming out of the
The
driveway.
trees there are very thin. That whole section, you're going to plow most of those trees, or that whole section, all of that green is forest right now. So what you're going to do, as you put this in, is you're going to knock out over most of those trees because you're going to have to bring in heavy equipment. So you're going to have to put in, if you're looking, I'm asking for privacy, right? So that whole left side should have nice thick arborvitaes or something. Now, it's also because of the ledge, it's extremely difficult to plant in that area.
You'll notice our lawn in the front is mulch because I can't grow any grass there. Miraculously, there's a tree there, but it's just one tree that's barely hanging on, so.
Okay. So I think we got the nature of your comment on that one. Are there any additional concerns?
The only other concern is just around the construction equipment and, materials, flat tires. The street is bad enough as it is. Any additional debris on the street would be just a disaster for that thin little narrow street.
And as far as the condition of the street as it is, we would go to the highway department to seek about repaving. Is that correct?
I believe so, but Matt may have a comment.
Defer to the board of selectmen.
Yeah, you can call the DPW and we can discuss that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sir?
Steve Paulina, number 10 William Street, on the ranch, to the right side, fairly large, 38,000 square feet. My issue with this, basically I'm going to have a house in my backyard. I have a ranch out in front. The house will be, if you look where there's a shed, to the right a little bit more. That's my shed. Your house is going to be built, it's going to be 10 feet from the shed on the land to the left of it, on number 12. I'm going to basically have a house in my backyard. My concern is my neighbor to the right On number 6, planted arborvitae's because he put a pool up and he wanted privacy. So they put him in at about 6 or 8 feet high. They've grown well. They provided privacy for them and myself because it was close to the property line. We have other people in the neighborhood, but right now I don't have anybody in my backyard. So I'm looking for some type of privacy on this area here. I guess you'd call that the eastern border.
Can you point on the diagram where the circle for the Hammerhead house is? Right up in there? Yeah. Okay.
We're 20 feet off the property line is where the house is going to be.
And what's, in your number 10, what is that house
Yep.
up in the back at an angle?
Yeah, I have all that
That's
land
my
all the way
shed.
back.
Oh, that's the shed with the little white thing out in front?
Yes,
And that's 10 foot from the property line and his...
I have 38,000. That's .77. I've got .89. Goes back to equally as far. Square a lot. And the other issue is, we already have a street that's, we've already discussed this, I've already discussed it with DPW. We have a street that's patch upon patch. That's all it is. We're lucky to get cold patch, and when it is, it's just thrown down. The street is in disrepair. We're not really on the list for an immediate, anytime soon to have it repaired. The construction of number 1 and 3, when it was done, kind of didn't impact anywhere down the street because a lot of it was just coming in right off of Oxford Street. They dump the equipment and go. When you bring an excavator and you have a tractor trailer, you have a tractor in the front, you have a trailer in the back, they disconnect the tractor and they move it out, the trailer stays there, the excavator comes off. So there's all that heavy equipment that's coming down this road, the length of the road to number 12. That's going to...
Who was the construction company on the others?
This gentleman here, I believe, was the one that brought the plans in for it. You know,
Yeah, it was a different owner.
It was a different owner, but it was, you're the same gentleman
Yes.
that showed the plans. Yeah, those were done right over here at 1 and 3. Those are now completed. But like I say, it didn't impact much. But now with all this stuff coming down the road, there are empty lots at the end of the road after number 16 on the left. That's where everybody uses the quote-unquote turnaround because it's a dead-end road. That was the primary reason for buying. We're in our 60s. We're looking 10 years ago. We were looking for a quiet street, dead end, a ranch because of our age, and something that wouldn't be. We'd have some land on either side of us where we could kind of I grew up in Shrewsbury Street, a 3-decker neighborhood. It's, you expect that in that area, but you certainly don't expect to have a house in your backyard.
Understood. Are there any other public comment? Sir?
Yeah, Tom Riley, 1 William Street. Now, I'll just voice the same concerns these guys have with runoff. I'm at 11. I'm approximately in the middle. Yep, you got it right there, right in the 6 o'clock, not quite at the bottom.
Yep.
You can't see it on there, but the land dips down there, so we always have a runoff problem there. And all of us, I think, all have sump pumps, and as Marco mentioned, it's anything, you change anything in the area, something's going to happen. And then speaking on that term, outside of number 1, which was built was it last year or the year before? It was built recently, within the last year and a half. That one's on town water, came directly off Oxford Street North. Number 3 and then this one here are going to run off of wells. And these properties were small properties, and there's only so much water underground, so every time we put another house there, we're all tapping into the same aquifer, and I don't know what the impact of that's going to be.
Thank
Nor
you.
does anybody here right now.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Sir?
The last question I
Yep.
wanted to ask was, would anything be addressed as far as privacy for the border?
Well, I think it's something the board will probably
Well, I know
discuss.
they applied to bypass lighting, landscaping, and elevation. I don't know if that was approved already or not, but if we're not going to talk about those, then I guess, I just want to know the forum that we can discuss this, because should I come back the next time after you guys if you do approve it, I just hate to hear from you people that, gee, you should have talked about it earlier.
No, I understand. So, Matt, do you have a comment on our
Thank
ability
you.
to condition that, or the relativeness of the landscaping plan?
I believe
It could be in the interest to require screening. You could condition that. This is also a special permit application, which could be subject to site plan review if the board so desires, and could use that as a designing mechanism for the site. Typically with applications with the board, if there's concerns regarding the engineering of the site, they may wish to have a peer review conducted or an in-house review done by engineering. The board has those options.
Mike, do you have a comment?
Yeah, because of the top, I'd still like it, can you stake it? So if we go up there, we can look at it?
Sure.
Okay. Because we got time to make a decision. We don't have to make it tonight,
Same
right,
thing,
Matt?
I'll go up there and see what it looks like.
And I don't know how much time we get to think about that. I'd like to see it, or else just say that we need to have maybe a site plan. They're compromised sites, some of them, with the runoff, and there's no way that I want to have any responsibility or anything where we're going to grant the hammerhead, which is not allowed by right, but by special permit, if everything works out, and do any damage or adverse harm to these people or the land that they already exist on.
Is it a public street?
I think so.
Yes.
It is?
Do you have any other comments, Paul?
No, I just wonder, as I said, I don't know how it became so narrow if it's a public street.
The tape is right at 17, Paul,
Yeah.
right in the property line between 15, and Champagne had his little house where the turnaround is on the end there, Billy Champagne, and then it just drops off down to the brook, which...
Okay. Jason, do you have any comments?
It's a tough one. It's definitely a concern. I can see where you're coming from if you were on that street, putting more people out there. I mean, I think definitely at the least it would have to be, some privacy landscaping. But I agree. You're putting more streets on a really tough road. That's, it's tough to get around. I mean, it is, as you said, this is a real process. They can get it through. But I think maybe just swinging by it real quick to take a look at it really is the best way for us to.
You can't really legislate how many houses. I built on a dirt road 50 years ago, so I wouldn't have any neighbors.
Yeah,
right.
You got neighbors now.
So, I think we may have, let Matt correct me when I'm wrong, but we may have two courses of action here. The first one, this is the special permit. We could go through, move to approve and condition, and then require a site plan approval at another time, which would give the neighbors another opportunity to comment. I think the second, because it does meet most of the guidelines, I probably wouldn't suggest we deny, so I think the other option would be to consider continuing so that the board can go out, take a look at the site, and come back next time.
And then we
with
can still
additional information.
ask for site plan approval.
It's a that's correct. If the board so chooses, absolutely.
Yeah.
Does the
have
town
to
ever
look at it.
Does the town ever
Minimally, we would want full screening on both sides, or a good portion of it, but I'd like to look at the lot first.
Does the town have a recommendation?
Well, in the form of a question, actually, does the board wish to have engineering review the plan, or the peer review for any reason?
Would Joanna be amenable to that?
Would we be reviewing this plan or a site plan that?
Yeah,
they
why don't
would
we
be
find out whether or not we're gonna have the site plan before we ask for that?
Which we do. Was provided to us today.
Oh, so they expected that they were gonna go for a full site plan?
Well, it's a requirement of the special permit to bring a site plan in, but we can condition the design elements of it through site plan approval. This is the special permit's the approve or deny stage, and further regulations can be put on site plan approval through that process. So each one requires a stamped engineer plan. So in front of us now is
stamped engineer.
Exactly, and if we would like specialists to review that to make sure there's no inconsistencies, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
How do you want to proceed?
You mean as
I
we
think
do a
that's
normal
enough. We've got a
peer?
stamp plan, that's enough there. I think we're just deciding on the next phase of that, but I don't think we should be touching that again. I mean, we had professionals prepare that.
So what are you suggesting, Jason?
I don't know.
Okay. Ronnie, did you comment?
I'd like to have it staked out and go look at it, and then look at waivers or a vote
which way we're gonna go after that.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I failed to mention this. I got this letter yesterday through the chair from the Department of Public Health. Board of Health provided a letter regarding the property is served by well and public sewerage, same utilities at the proposed Hammerhead lot. I'm sorry. There is a well house observed on 12 William Street, which we discussed earlier. Contains appears to be an old existing second well. Board of Health recommends that the old well be checked to ensure that all plumbing has been disconnected by a licensed plumber, and the well is properly abandoned by a mass registered well company. All proper paperwork and permits must be submitted to the Board of Health upon completion and prior to the occupancy of the existing dwelling. I just wanted to read that aloud because I omitted that from
The address on it.
Yes, I agree. I just want to make sure on record that I know that we received it from Board of Health.
So it sounds to me like the members of the board would like an opportunity to go out to the site. So would somebody like to make a motion to continue the hearing to the next meeting to provide time to go out
I'll make that
and do the
motion.
site?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So the next meeting is March 22nd. That's for 7:05.
How soon do you think you can have it staked?
I'm trying to get it this week. Do you want to set up a meeting with everybody at the same time, or just go at your own time, or?
Probably go out on our own. It's just too hard to put everybody.
Yeah.
Would you mind notifying the
Yep,
town
I'll notify
when
you.
it's been completed? So we actually closed the public hearing.
Just a question.
Well, we closed, we continue to the
didn't
next
vote.
meeting, so it's, can we still entertain additional discussion?
It's up to you. It's your discussion.
Do you have a comment that's relevant
One question.
before the next meeting? Sure.
Just have one question. What
Yep.
type of house are they planning on building? End of story.
We can handle that
Thank
one.
I'd have to ask the client.
I guess we can. There you go.
We asked for a waiver to.
So the meeting, so what's going to happen is we're continuing the hearing. So the hearing will be revisited at the next meeting, which is on March 22nd. So I would assume that if you wanted to stay informed, that would be your best opportunity, would be to show up at the next meeting and listen to the hearing then.
Will there be opportunity for potential?
There'll be additional public comment available at that time. Great. Thank you very much. The
Thank you guys very much for your patience.
You're welcome. The next application is Central One Federal Credit Union requesting a site plan modification under section 3.2.5.9 of the Auburn zoning bylaws for the expansion of the existing building and parking area and a special permit under section 3.9.2.2 for the installation of a drive-up standalone ATM machine on property located at 63 and 59 Southbridge Street. The applicants like to come forward, and again, I would just remind you that we have 4 members here tonight, and the permit requires a supermajority, so you need all of the members to vote in favor, and in addition, any members who missed more than one meeting would be ineligible to vote in favor if you were to be heard tonight. Does the applicant still wish to proceed?
We do.
Okay. Need a motion to reopen the hearing?
I believe we do not.
In fact, we'll continue. Okay. Would you like to introduce yourself to the board again and
Thank you. For the record, my name is Brian Beaton from Myrick O'Connell. I'll allow the other members to introduce themselves.
Greg O'Connor, O'Connor Associates Architects.
James Tatro from Thompson Liston Associates.
And I'm Mike Gordon, CFO of Cody.
Do you all have business cards for the record? I probably have your name already.
We can get those.
Thanks.
Through you, Mr. Chair, you may recall we appeared before you a number of weeks ago, and at that time we outlined the nature of the enhanced improvements that Central One is proposing at its location. Those improvements include, if you may recall, an addition to the existing building, a reconfiguration of the parking areas, modifications to the layout of the drive-through, a new freestanding ATM, signage, and just reconfiguration of site circulation and movement, which we think will all improve the functioning of the credit union. It has been a very successful credit union for Central One, as we talked about last time. Since the last hearing, a couple of things that I think are important to touch upon. We did receive some helpful feedback. I know there's a gentleman here that raised a very good suggestion about building a sidewalk from Southbridge Street to the front entrance of the building, which we agree was a very good comment. At the same time, we appeared before the Zoning Board of Appeals with several requests related to variances and special permits, which I'm pleased to say we did receive. And finally, the engineering department and DPW provided a number of, again, very good comments regarding the proposed design. So rather than come back without having our ducks in a row, frankly, we took some time, and I know the DPW and the engineering department reviewed some redesign of the site and addressed some of the questions and concerns that they had. And you should have, I think, in front of you the most recent letter which outlines that. I think all of those issues and questions have been resolved. I think that was of today's date.
Really quick, I just want to make sure we have this correct. So in our packets, I think we had a memo from February 18th, then a memo from March 4th from Thompson Wilson Associates, and then in addition to that, a memo from the town on March 4th. Is that, what's the latest? And now we have a memo from March 8th. We received this tonight?
Yes.
We were in receipt of a revised plan set entitled Central 1 Federal Credit Union, 63 Southbridge Street, Auburn, Mass. Dated November 16, 2015, last revised March 4, 2016, and prepared by Thompson Liston Associates. The submitted documents have addressed the engineering division's previous review letters, and there are no outstanding comments relative to our review.
Got it. Any questions?
Turn it over quick to the town for comment.
Just real quick, just because I know there's a butters here that may want to hear what some of the changes were, and if you wouldn't mind presenting those, that'd be suitable.
Sure.
Sure. Some of the changes requested in the DPW review were, one of the last ones was asking that the island in which the ATM itself is located here be extended a little bit towards the south. Kind of the eternal quandary of giving people more space, or I think I was sort of leaning towards the DPW department was saying, no, they'll mess it up if you give them extra opportunities for maneuver. And they wanted that moved over, so we did that. They wanted some further clarification about what's being done with the existing dry well. They wanted an addition to that dry well and some clarification about how that piping will connect. They wanted further clarification about the handicap space and to get it's usually referred to as a tactile pad, a little yellow pad that you see with the no more sophisticated way to say that, bumps.
Truncated dumps.
To make sure that that's installed at the ramp, the existing ramp. And there were a couple other little points, but they were, actually I could go through them in greater detail if you really want, but those were I think the most substantive ones were asking for a change to the island here. And one other item that I haven't mentioned that came up at the board's previous meeting was showing the specific locations intended for lights. That was added to the plans. That came up from the board members that previous time. So there was lighting, there was changing again of that island, additional dry well capacity where there's an existing one, and clarification about how that pipe will connect, and the sidewalk suggested by the gentleman in the audience, which will run from the Southbridge Street sidewalk to the entrance of the proposed addition, and again, the tactile pad and clarification about the handicap space. So those were, I think, were the primary items from the DPW review, and which were addressed pursuant to the discussion from the board.
Appreciate you taking into account the comments from the town and also from the members of the audience. It sounds like you took all of them seriously. Appreciate that. Joanna, do you have any comments on that following your review?
No, everything was addressed first class.
Okay. Members of the board, any comments?
It's going to improve that whole area. Get rid of that old building there and the rest of it.
Ronnie, Jason?
I'm fine. I think it looks nice. Nice so far.
Members of the public, any comments?
Mr. Chair, Mark Bernal, Tom Ian, member precinct 4. I had a request, someone would like to see like the inside of the library, what's it gonna look like the blueprints. And also, we do the sidewalk, we do asphalt, not cement, with granite curving. And another thing too, the house on Elmwood Street, is that gonna stay all one parcel? Is that gonna be put like an A&R in there?
No, that, the property is going to be divided up. We mentioned this at the earlier meeting, and this was a lesser topic of discussion. The entire property is sort of this rectangle. It's going to be divided up into where 59 Southbridge Street, the club was, that area, that is being given to the branch building. But the new property line around the house is going to be as shown here, which meets all the zoning requirements and the regularity factor. And there's still another parcel here.
That's what I'm talking, yeah, another parcel. It goes,
It's
what's the town property?
You asked is it an A&R land, or you asking about a house lot?
House lot, it's a buildable lot.
It's a buildable lot, but it's
flat.
It's in the zoning of, is it the highway business, if I remember the correct phrasing?
So it could be highway business or...
Yeah, some sort of business, but it has
Caleb, are you allowed
limited...
to build a lot in highway business? A house?
No.
If you don't want it, you can't do it at all.
No,
You need a
there's-
special permit.
Yeah, I can tell you that, having spoken with Mr. Lecrier of Central One, he understands that the zoning does not allow a new house to be built in this area. You know, the previous one preceded, obviously, the zoning being made highway business and devoted solely towards that and such uses.
The only other two requests is to maintain that house, because last summer, look at Manning House. You can cut the grass, it's awful tall. And construction could maybe just Monday through Friday, because you got Packagug Hill behind you. You know, you got jackhammers and bulldozers going.
So why don't we try to handle those kind of one at a time? We addressed the lot concern. I think the board is going to take up into consideration the construction hours, and we'll go through our typical conditioning process to do that. And you had asked about the lobby design, so why don't we take a quick look at that, and then we can just...
On the board there, someone had a request from a resident.
This is the proposed floor plan right here.
Can you put it so people can see it from TV? Somehow?
What's happening is from this point over, this is the addition, this is the existing credit union right now. The drive-up is right here. That drive-up lane will move over to the end of the new addition. The teller line will be removed, and basically the main kind of lobby space will slide over, and there'll be a new entrance to the building. What will happen on the front facade of the building is you're going to get basically another gable created. Right now you have this. This will be the new entrance or the new gable to get this whole symmetrical facade.
Great. So I think that addressed all of Mark's comments. I appreciate that.
The only other one quick is I wish you had PAL, like the doors automatically open, like CVS. Someone in a wheelchair, so they're not fighting with the doors.
Well, all of our doors at all of our branches are, they're not automatic, they're manual, they're all in compliance with 521 CMR for the required pulls. And the other thing is, should anybody for some reason have any difficulty, there would be ample assistance available with these people working right here. They have full visibility of the door, and they would gladly come out and assist if anybody had an issue. But all of our entrances are in compliance with 521 CMR, and
I just think
it's worked well for us in any of the locations we have. Sure.
I just thought it'd be a lot easier just to put PAL buttons, you know, just something.
Well, great. Thank you, Mark. Thank again to the bank for taking the comments of the town and also the comments of the public into consideration and coming back to us with, at the point in which you had a fully acknowledged memo. Any of the members of the board have any additional comments?
No, looks good to me.
The process to move forward, Matt, would be first.
Yes, sir. This is currently two applications. It's site plan approval and a special permit. Special permit, excuse me, is for the installation of a drive-up standalone ATM, and the site plan modification, excuse me, is for the expansion of the existing building and parking area. The proper procedure would be a motion to close the public hearings, and then take each one at a time.
One quick thing, can you when you do the conditions, don't do the number system, we got the whole conditions. The residents are requesting
Through the
that.
chair, I'd be glad to.
Thank you.
Sure. Great. Would somebody like to make a motion to close the hearing?
I'll make a motion to close.
Just before we do that,
sure.
we would request that we just have the normal hours of construction.
Correct.
As far as construction, if I could go through that, this is a functioning branch and will remain a functioning branch throughout the entire project. So there will be work that occurs within the facility after normal banking hours. It's not going to be site work that's going to occur after hours, but there will be work ongoing within the facility after normal banking hours because we aren't shutting down for the project.
Matt, do you want to talk about our standard condition and how that might impact?
It'd be worth asking the applicant what their current hours are.
What are your current hours?
Typically, we are open 8 to 4:30. We do have extended hours on Mondays and Thursdays, and on Saturdays, we're open 8 to 12:30.
What are those extended hours?
In what hours would they be working inside?
Well, they're going to be coming in nights after they close or early mornings before they open because there's going to be a lot of kind of coordination with this. The way that this project will work is the first thing that has to be constructed is the drive-up ATM so that we can take our existing ATM and remote it out to that new location. Then we can build the shell for the addition while this maintains its existing layout and stays functional. Once we get the shell up, there's going to come a point where we break through the wall and we remove this, and a lot of that work is going to happen after hours or early in the morning before hours, or it may even be something where we've got a 3-day weekend where the contractor's going to be inside here working, just trying to get things ready.
That shouldn't be offensive to the neighbors.
Right.
No,
It's not like we're going to have site work going on.
The noise will be contained.
So,
Yeah, that looks good.
Site work is mostly what we talk about.
Yeah.
so would a reasonable compromise be to limit site work to the hours that are under our standard conditions?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Site work.
Site work,
But internal work, we don't.
so exterior site work.
Do you have any problem with that, Caleb?
I would limit it to any exterior work.
Any
Any
exterior-
exterior work to follow the standard conditions.
Standard conditions, but interior work, they can
Interior,
work
I don't see an
whatever
issue.
hours they want.
Yeah.
And just for the record, the standard hours that the board has is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon, with no work Sundays or holidays.
That's correct. Well, change that. 7 a.m. to 4:30 is Monday through Friday.
For your
Those are your
for hours
hours?
of operation.
That's hours.
Yeah, so these are our standard condition hours of construction.
Yep.
that he's referring to. Any objection to exterior work being
And that
done
would
at
just
that
be limited for our exterior work. We can
Right.
do all our interior work.
Right. Interior work will be
whenever.
done.
Whenever you want.
Yeah.
That works.
Okay. So the
Make a
process.
motion, we close the hearing?
Motion to close. Second. Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And now, motion, we handle the special permit first.
Yes, so there's a special permit under section 3922 for the installation of a drive-up standalone ATM machine on the property.
I would make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
With conditions? or-
Conditions, standard conditions.
Sure.
Do you have anything in there about the speakers? Or did you just...
I think you just need technology to catch up with it.
Outdoor movies.
Yeah. You're very tight. All right, pass these around.
I think
Grocery.
with the, I believe, if the person making the motion would be so kind to choose the numbers, and I'll read the numbers aloud before they vote, if that's okay?
Does the town have a recommendation?
Okay.
I'm gonna write back on it. And Mark, would you like a copy of this?
Yes, please, yeah, but I still like it. I had a real request from other people, your fans out there, like, read, they don't know what the
We'll
number
still
system.
try to read it for them.
Yeah, read the whole, you can take a shortcut with the number system.
Just trying to be efficient.
Um,
All right. Do you,
So what are we looking under?
So we're
Special
under the
permit?
special permit. I'm just gonna read the numbers first, and then I'll read the ones aloud once you've chosen.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one is standard to be recorded at the town clerk. Number two, comply with all applicable special permit requirements under section 9.3, which is special permit requirements. Number three, special permit issued to the applicant is non-transferable. Is that an option of the board? think it's open for discussion if this is to stay with the land of the applicant.
I'd say we should just leave it with the land at this time.
Okay.
Because we can change that in
Sure.
the future if they actually were gone.
Sure. Item 4 is, I apologize, is the special permit shall lapse, proposed construction has not been commenced except for good cause within a period of, and the board usually chooses 24 months. The applicant, number 5, applicant shall abide by all approvals and conditions from state agencies or other town boards, departments, and commissions. Number 6 is construction hours shall be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 noon, no work Sundays or holidays.
Which we would modify to exterior construction.
Okay. Number 7, the lot shall be developed in accordance with the approved plan, which is dated March 4th, 2016. Number 8 is the applicant shall submit a 24 by 36 as-built plan to the planning board once construction is completed. We'd also be doing that with the building department as well, so this condition just requests a copy sent to the planning board. And I do not believe item 9 is required. That's regarding earth fill. I don't think we're dealing with a volume of fill here in excess of...
We're moving
Slab anyway.
only several yards from where it's a little bit of cut right here is just going to be moved to the outside.
It's all going to be maintained
You're
outside.
not coming near
Yeah,
500.
on site. Oh, no,
Okay.
and nowhere near, and nowhere near 500.
And I would apply item 10, because this is in the, I don't know if you're taking trees down or not, but this is in the Agent Longhorn Beetle quarantine area. So, condition 10, the applicant must abide by all regulations and conditions of the 11th amended order regarding that. So, to recap, I believe the motion for standard conditions would be for items 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
6 as modified.
6 as modified, 7, 8, and 10.
All right. So moved.
Second, Ronnie?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now the site plan modification.
Yes, the site plan modification is under section 3259, the expansion of the existing building and parking area. Standard conditions here have, we can use, number 1 is the same construction hours. We can apply that to the same, well, as amended with the exterior work. Abide by all approvals and conditions of state agencies, town boards, departments and commissions. Number 2, a lot of these are similar with special permit. Number 3, developed in accordance with this approved plan. Number 4, site lighting standards conforming with section 9465 of the Auburn zoning bylaw. The requirement for the as-built plan is number 5. And number 6 is the Asian Longhorn Beetle. We could eliminate some of these since it's repetitive, but it's up to the board if they'd like to just
I
keep
think
on
we
the
found
standard.
it's helpful to have it in both places so that it's...
Yep.
Okay, I see the
no
note that's with the regular standard conditions 1 through 6.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve with those conditions.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much for your review.
Thank you. So from here, I'll draft the decisions. We'll have them for the board at the next meeting for signature.
Okay. I might suggest we wait until we have more members of the committee here to review the minutes.
Yeah,
The members are so amenable.
yeah.
In which case, we have, next meeting would be 3/22. Correspondence from the Grandview Street acceptance we've already discussed. The next item on the agenda would be adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Do we have to do something with Welcome Homes?
We already accepted the withdrawal.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was Gibson Road.
That was Gibson
Yeah,
Road. We already
okay.
So withdrawal without prejudice.
How come I got pink? No one else?
That was
It was intentional.
Wendy's.
Yeah.
You?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion we adjourn.
Second, Ronnie? All those in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.